Was Gary Coleman murdered? That's one of the stunning questions raised in the controversial new documentary, Gary, which started streaming today on Peacock.
What you talking about, Willis?
Gary Coleman was once the highest paid child actor in America, starring on the beloved sitcom Different Strokes. Different Strokes was so popular, even First Lady Nancy Reagan had a guest spot.
Who you talking about, Mrs. Reagan?
But 4' 8" Gary came to resent the character and his iconic catchphrase.
It sounds ridiculous when I do it. I'm sorry.
In 2007, after years alone, he married an unknown movie extra, Shannon Price. The marriage was tempestuous.
I slapped him a couple times. I mean, nothing major, nothing like red flag.
After one spat, Coleman spent the night in jail.
No jail time, not leaving the house, not paying any heavy fines.
In 2010, Shannon called 911 from Gary's Utah home, saying he'd fallen down the stairs.
Look, her head is bloody. There's blood all over the floor. I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. I just can't be here with the blood. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I can't.
Shannon had doctors take him off life support 2 days later. Friends still question the circumstances around his death. I spoke with his friend, Kent Emmons, who Gary named an executor of his estate in his will. Do you believe in your heart that Gary died from an accidental fall?
No, I don't believe that. And again, that's strictly my speculation. I don't believe it.
In the Peacock documentary, Shannon denies any wrongdoing.
I didn't do anything. I didn't touch him. I didn't hurt him. I was nowhere near him. Nothing happened.
Shannon triggered outrage when she allegedly sold the tabloids a photo of Gary on his deathbed, which we are blurring.
It was just sick. First of all, that's not the way, Gary needs to be remembered. He was a great, wonderful, amazing man.
The child star who craved privacy had none, even in death.
I asked you the following relevant questions on this test. Did you physically cause Gary's fall? You answered no.
Right.
I also asked you, did you physically cause Gary to fall that day? And you answered no. And the results are, you failed that exam with deception indicated to those relevant questions. Let me say that again. You failed the exam regarding Gary's fall.
What's up out to YouTube? This is James coming back at you with another informative video. I hope you guys are doing well out there on this beautiful midweek Wednesday. I'm doing well myself. Hey, look, this is one of those stories just like Robert Wagner in the demise of Natalie Wood. You understand? Nobody ever really got any clarification out of how Natalie Wood wound up in that river, wherever they was. It was ocean, wherever they was. Lake. Nobody, pretty much got clarification about what really happened to her, although there are suspicions that, Robert Wagner did it. Okay? But at the same time, Christopher Walken was on that boat that night. Okay? Along with them, which sounds strange to me, but be it as is, nobody knows anything. All right. Well, in this case right here, Gary Coleman's ex-wife finally takes lie detector tests about his death, and the results are spooky. Coleman married Shannon Price in 2007 and divorced 1 year later. 2 years after that, he suffered a fatal fall, and Price was the only witness. Okay? Look, she took this lie detector test, okay? And she failed it. Now, as far as lie detectors go, I never really had any confidence in those things. I always thought, how can a machine detect if you lying? Because after all, if you take one of those particular tests, the thing is this, you could be nervous or anything. You know what I'm saying? And that needle jump, and it's going to say, well, okay, you lying. Okay, that's just what it is. But in this case right here, this woman right here, in my mind, is the reason why Gary Coleman is no longer on this side of dispensation in time. She has something to do with that fall. I mean, she was on there saying that she slapped him and all of that kind of stuff, and and they just move on like nothing ever happened. A tumultuous relationship, and they often always end badly, as in this case. Now it says here, after 15 years since child actor Gary Coleman was taken off life support by his ex-wife Shannon Price, rumors and speculation surrounding his death have always drawn mixed reviews. Finally, Price agreed to take a lie detector test, hoping to clear her name once and for all. But the results are in, and they're not in her favor. And right, they ain't in her favor. This Neanderthal, she was the reason why Gary Coleman died. That's my opinion. I believe that when I first heard about it, I said she did it. Okay? To continue here, the 42-year-old actor's death was quickly ruled an accident, after he suffered a major fall in his Utah home. At the time, Coleman and Price, now 39 years old, were divorced but still living together. But in the aftermath of the tragedy, many folks, including Coleman's own family and friends, suspected Price was telling the entire truth. Suspected Price wasn't telling the entire truth. Okay. A&L's Lie Detector, Truth or Deception series aimed to get to the bottom of it all. That's what they say, bottom of it all. But instead of clearing her name, Price results just raised even more questions. She was asked, "Did you physically cause Gary's fall?" Question. In response, she said no. She was also asked, "Did you physically cause Gary to fall that day?" Again, responding no. But according to the lie detector test, the results are you failed that exam with deception indicated to those relevant questions. The test administrator said in a clip from the show premiering on July 10th, "You failed the exam regarding Gary's fall." Okay? And she, okay, well, that says it all right there. As far as I'm concerned, you can see that this woman was all about money. You see what I mean? She's all about money. Why? Because she even sold the tabloids of Gary Coleman on life support. Basically on his deathbed then. She was all about money. She didn't have no respect for any kind of privacy for the man or nothing. She didn't love him. She didn't love him, and she was responsible for his demise, as far as I'm concerned, okay? I'm not saying she actually did it. I'm not saying there's proof she did it, but I believe she did it, okay? Now, back to the story. Immediately, Price claimed the results were false, maintaining her innocence in regards to her ex-husband's death. She was also asked if she ever struck Coleman or withheld help from the Different Strokes actor. Her results came back inconclusive. Coleman and Price got married in 2007, but divorced 1 year later. 2 years after that, Coleman suffered intracranial hemorrhage. Intracranial hemorrhage, according to Sydney Morning Herald. Price was the only witness. The 911 call after Coleman's fall drew side eyes, as Price can be heard refusing to follow the operator's instructions to administrator help to Coleman. To administrator help to you mean to administrate help to Coleman? All right, got me sounding messed up. This chick right here, man. She pretty much, again, I believe she pretty much did this to Gary so she can get his money. I watched enough of Alfred Hitchcock not to know better. This is one of those cases, okay? To continue here, he was eventually taken to a hospital and placed on a coda. He was in a coma, people. Price pulled the plug just 2 days later, despite claims from Coleman's ex-girlfriend, Anna Gray, who alleged he had an advanced healthcare directive, where he stated he wanted at least 2 weeks of care before any plugs were pulled. Okay, and she did it a couple days later. She wanted him out of the way, big time. After failing the polygraph exam, Price told TMZ, "We were extremely disappointed with the overall experience of both the polygraph testing and dealing with A&E. Many promises were made and not kept. She continued, the testing situation was unfair and very uncomfortable, and the testing was performed non-verbally. Well, how was that when we see on the video here, the dude he asked you, well, he said that he asked you these questions, okay? He said you were asked. So that's verbal right there. See, another lie to continue, which I should have refused from the beginning. It was apparent they cared more about ratings than finding the truth. The full episode will air on A&E on July 10th, which is tomorrow, people. You know what I mean? But you got a glimpse of it. Spoiler alert, this chick, well, she failed the lie detector. You know what I mean? And see Gary looking side-eye at your ass from beyond the grave. He knows you did it. And you're going to be found out eventually. And that's just what it is. That's all I got on this one. People, I want you guys to tell me what you think about this particular story right here. Do you think she's guilty of assisting in Gary Coleman's fall down those stairs, causing his demise? Or do you think that was really an accident, as she said? I'm interested in hearing your thoughts on it in the comment section. Like, share, and subscribe. People, please remember to live your life as though we are being watched, simply because we are. This is James, and I'm out. Peace.